And then I think then it's SAT, ACT scores. Make sure you have a score that reflects my dad's a dentist.
So, it's called, in English, that would translate as young green leader.
That's what I'm trying to do when I get an education. I'm trying to make an impact, a lasting one that I can like flip back through, but also a lasting one that like people will remember and that I'm proud of. Yeah, that's a trick that my English teacher actually talked about.
So you're studying at MIT, and you're not a CS major?
And I don't even think I was completely ready. And just like patience with yourself. I think being patient with yourself is really important. Oh yeah, like make connections with people.
Hi, hello, hi. So, yeah, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Angie. Um, I'm a student at MIT. I'm studying bioengineering and hopefully maybe double majoring in political science.
Oh, that's great. So you are both politician and an engineer, right?
Actually, that's the hope. One of these days, contemplating running for office or being involved in political science in some sense.
So you want to become Donald Trump and Elon Musk in one, right?
I mean, if that's what pushes us forward. No, I'm kidding.
Definitely. Okay, that's cool.
I think having a background in science, and understanding science and having a position in government is something we definitely need. We need more people in politics that are well versed in the sciences. But that's not to say that I don't love and appreciate the humanities. So that's why at MIT, I'm still trying to, um, yeah, invest my time into making sure I take advantage of their humanities resources and, of course, their STEM.
So Angie, where are you from originally? And like tell us about your backstory.
So I was born and raised in Queens, New York City. And then around middle school, moved to Somers, which is an area in the Hudson River Valley region, an hour from the city in New York. I've only ever been to public school. So that's just my education background. And yeah, that's it.
Oh, perfect. Even quicker than 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you want to get into your academic stats? GPA, APs, SAT, all of just numbers? Do you want to talk about numbers?
Sure. So I think the best advice I can give is take the hardest classes possible that your school offers whilst keeping in mind what you're capable of and the workload that you can manage. I took, well, for SATs, I took that a good amount of times. I started studying for that pretty early for SATs. My super score was a 1540, which is around average for an MIT student, or perhaps the average is higher now. I'm not too sure. And then ACT 35. Um, yeah. And then for classes, I'd say for all my classes, I kept it'll vary by school, of course, but as long as you do the work, have a good relationship with your teachers, I, I think it should be manageable. I did mostly APs. I graduated as valedictorian of my class and with about 102 GPA.
102?
Yes.
Okay, that's a bit confusing, but okay. So you submitted ACT 35, right?
Yes.
And when did you take it? Did you take in your junior year?
Yeah, actually, in the beginning of my junior year is when I took it, and so for the entirety of junior year, I knew I would be focusing on classes and college apps, so it was nice to have that out of the way within the first couple of months of school.
You know, a lot of people say that it's really hard to manage everything when it comes to college application. Like they say, oh, my GPA and SAT and extracurriculars and to write essays and get recommendation letters and all of that. And so some people say that, oh, it's better to finish with SAT first, get a high SAT, and then fully focus on extracurriculars. Or some say, oh, no, you have to really maintain a balance and push all of those at the same time. What was your experience?
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't necessarily dabble a lot in extracurriculars and, like, fully invested until junior year. Junior year and senior year is when I really focused on science research, which I'm so passionate about. I'm so happy I dedicated my time to. I think freshman, sophomore year, I just focused on doing well in my classes. And then I did a lot of clubs at school, physics club, chess club, I just biomedical engineering club for students interested in that. And then I did quite a bit of sports throughout high school. But then junior and senior year is when I really focused on science research. I had the SAT and ACT score early junior year, so I was able to focus on it. And then during 11th and 12th grade, I competed at local, regional, and international science research fairs. So I definitely say number one is academics. If your scores in your classes aren't good, I don't think you're. I mean, I think that has to be stable right away. Right off the bat, they're looking for students that can handle the workload, especially at MIT. That's what they're looking for. After that, you want to make sure you're dedicating your time to things you're interested in with extracurriculars, whether it be athletics or something within humanities or sciences, personal projects, all that stuff. And then I think then it's SAT, ACT scores. Make sure you have a score that reflects what your highest potential, that reflects what you've put in. Because at that point, you know everything you need to know to do well on the test. It's just a matter of practice.
Mhm. Sure. Do you wanna get specific with your extracurriculars? I know at MIT, as far as I know, there's 5 extracurriculars that you need to include, and there's also a separate section for work experience, and, I think there's also a section for research, like, additional one. Um,
Yeah.
do you want
So,
Uh-huh. Let's go.
yeah, extracurriculars. I had an internship at for Northwell Health. It's in hospital system in the Northeast region. I was a part of something called the President's Junior Leadership Council. We were essentially a group of student liaisons. We represented our school districts and kind of acted as health representatives. We met virtually and in person at the Northern Westchester Hospital. Basically, what we did was organize fundraising events, collaborations with other hospitals, other schools in the district, trying to boost mental health awareness, especially after COVID-19. And I did tabling events, which are basically when, I mean, you go with a table and represent the hospital with a bunch of other nurses.
Pretty basic tabling, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, exactly what you expect. And then just talk about mental health, anxiety. We went to different boys and girls clubs, talked to students about how to be in tune with their emotions. So that was one of my extracurriculars. The other one was tennis. So I I absolutely loved tennis during high school. I unfortunately don't play anymore, but I helped my coach with doing the summer youth clinic and the seasonal clinic at the park, where we basically coach younger tennis players, teach them how to play, do drills. That was just a really fun way to engage with just younger people that really love tennis. And I'm not going to the US Open or anything, but I do love tennis and it was fun to share that with people.
Did you say teach medical? Some
No, no, no. Just use a youth clinic at the local park.
Oh,
So
perfect, right.
coach them with tennis. Other than that, I also did several different programs. So Carnegie Mellon, I did the Summer Academy for Math and Science, which is a fully funded merit program. I highly recommend applying if you're a junior, sophomore.
Summer Academy.
Yes. So it's a full 6 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks. You do chem classes, math classes, and other science and math classes you're choosing. For the full 6 weeks, you live on campus in Pennsylvania at CMU. And just Carnegie Mellon professors are amazing. I think from one of my experiences with Madison.
After MIT, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Great, great. Okay.
But yeah, so after Carnegie Mellon, that's when from my experience working with one of the professors, that actually led me to completing the research project that I competed with at the Regeneron Science and Engineering International Fair. But yeah, so Carnegie Mellon was one of my extracurriculars, the Summer Academy, and with that, Harvard also has classes that I think people should definitely take advantage of. I did the biochemical engineering and synthetic life engineering course. That was just
I'm sorry, where did you take it? Is it Coursera, edX?
that was with Harvard Secondary School. Also during the summer, it met virtually. I do think it was gave you a broad scope of the content. Um, it was one of the professors at Harvard. They just run a virtual program in the summer, and so I was in a class of about 30 students online. We heard different professors, and we heard from different professors present their research on Zoom, and then at the end we did a summative project where we just picked a topic of our choosing. I picked polymeric nanoparticles, and we would talk about how we would want to implement this in future research. It could have been hypothetical or more literal, but I chose to give like tangible evidence of what I learned from the course. And so I talked about how I would want to implement polymeric nanoparticles in drug treatment, which is what I'm interested in. So yeah, that was my experience with the Harvard course. And then the other the other bit of experience I had was my dad's a dentist. And so I got the chance to just work in reception at his clinic. It's nothing complicated, but also I feel like if you can show a college that you've done everything in your power to, I mean, interact with people in your community, you should. So I I really just worked in like reception and just answered phone calls, greeted patients, and it allowed me to be more immersed in the medical side of things in healthcare.
It allows you to learn the organizational structure of this organization.
Exactly, exactly. From a more managerial perspective. And that was really helpful as well. So I talked about that. And then my other extracurricular was just writing. I feel like people always think that you need like some big organization.
Or like
Yeah.
international science, whatever. Which, by the way, you've had, but that doesn't negate my point.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
So I put down our extracurricular as writing because I love writing. It's something I want to be able to publish a book. I actually am working on publishing a book. My sister illustrated it.
Oh, really?
With me. Yes. So
I
that was
actually,
one.
I actually have a book myself.
That's amazing.
It's called it's actually in Uzbek. It's completely in Uzbek. And you know what we did? It was kind of like so. It's called in English that would translate as Young Green Leader. And what it does is that I wrote about 3 stories about children who live in villages with extremely bad environmental conditions. So like in one of the villages, there's like the single river that all of the village gets water from gets completely contaminated, and people are like super conservative, like who cares about river, like let's focus on more important things, etc. And then I wrote about a child who kind of pushes his father and pushes his community. Oh, first he gathers his friends, they take like the bags and they go collect the litter from the river, and then he invites more and more and more and more people, and then that kind of attracts the attention of the whole community in general.
That's an amazing story. I feel like that would resonate with people in the sense that it teaches them to take action and like you can make actionable change.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
And then we distributed for free to across 8 regions of the country, of my country, to
Amazing.
underfunded kindergartens and to underfunded elementary schools for children.
That's amazing.
Yes.
That's really, it's beautiful.
So that's why I'm even more excited to hear about your book and what you want to write and how you want to make impact.
Yeah. I've been working on this for a really long time. I talked about it in my application as well, where every single year of high school, I'd refine the manuscript and I'd show it to English teachers and ask them what they think. And then they would give me edits back and I'd make changes again. And I'm still working on it now just because things always get busy and you have to just kind of adapt.
What is it about?
So it's a fantasy. Um, it's about a girl named Jolie who she's transported to this world and she doesn't have any control of when she goes. So it basically sucks her in and she finds that it's everything she wants in life. I mean, it's peaceful, it's fulfilling. She sees an image of herself um, doing exactly what she wants to in the future. And she's like, wow, I could just live out this life in this peaceful world and time will just go on in reality and no one's gonna miss me. And I could just be here. And eventually she realizes that there are things in this fantasy there are things in this fantasy that yes are like satisfying, they're fun, they're pleasurable, we'll say. But there are things in reality that she doesn't get in this fantasy.
Sure.
And so eventually the fantasy starts crumbling away and the cobblestones that she stands on, they start disintegrating.
Uh-huh.
And eventually her sister and her family and her goals for the future, they pull her out of this world and she starts gaining control of when she can go and when she stays in reality.
Mm.
And then eventually she roots herself in reality and the fantasy that she created goes away because she can create that fantasy in her real world.
Because she decided to face her challenges except instead of running away to imaginary world from it.
Exactly.
Have you watched Gravity Falls?
I have not.
Really? Oh my god. You know there's a
Is it the same kind of concept?
yes, exactly. In season 2, I don't want to spoil, but you can watch season 2 if you want to, but anyway, they have similar concept. Okay, we covered your extracurriculars. This is amazing, by the way. The book, when you publish it, definitely let me know. I'll do free advertising, like, but
I mean, I also want to read yours and just see. I'm always intrigued when people, I know when people come out with very unique stories.
sure, I'll definitely send you the link. Do you want to talk about your essays in detail? Because you seem really passionate about your book. Have you included that into your application? Like, was it a big thing or what was it?
Yeah. So, like I said, like writing is a big part of my life, and I talked about it as an extracurricular. Another hobby that I have is writing in my journal in quill and ink, so like with a feather pen.
Sure.
And so my essay my essay was like a journal entry. And I talked about how like I really love writing in quill and ink and I have like this leather journal. And so my essay's title was Entry 116.
Okay.
And it was basically me sitting down, opening my journal, and I take the readers through this experience where I open up my journal, I'm reading through past chapters that I've written, and I'm flipping through all these pages, looking back at all these moments in my life where I've been challenged, and all these moments in my life where I have been gifted amazing opportunities, times when I took advantage of them, times where I wish I could have done better, my failures, my triumphs. And I'm looking through his journal and I'm like flipping through pages frantically in this essay. Um, and I think I take the reader through that and all the emotional roller coasters that I experience flipping through my journal. And then at the end, I basically, I close the journal and um, like I just realized that I'm always gonna have this quill and ink. I'm always gonna have this way to navigate life because I can write. I can leave my mark behind. And that's what I'm trying to do when I get an education. I'm trying to make an impact, a lasting one that I can like flip back through, but also a lasting one that like will remember and that I'm proud of. And so that was like the main message behind me writing in my journal and all that.
So it's almost like your chronicles, right? That you're just reviewing and showing to the author.
A little bit, and then I also wrote I don't think I was the traditional essay at all. My sentences were short, and showed, like, the emotional roller coaster of, like, me flipping to a page and then next, and so, like, I it's almost like a poem. I really like poetry, where I don't have long paragraphs. It's, like, little segments, little moments where I just flip to one page, like, blank, blank, this happens, and then next page. And so people always say, oh, you need one big theme to write about for your essay, which is true. But I had a really tough time picking one specific thing. So I was like, you know what? It's fine. I'll just flip through my journal and talk about a bunch of things.
You know, there's also another rule. Like, I definitely agree with the thing that you need to have one common theme across your application. But there's also another one which says there's no one rule to get accepted. There's no one rule that fits all, one size fits all. So, like,
Yeah.
yeah, for you, the way that you wrote, like in the journal way, that this is a way that best represents you. And at the end of the day, application is all about showing yourself in your true colors. Is that me?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. When you should be able to cover the name on the essay and know, and even covering the name, it should not you shouldn't be able to apply it to any other person but you. Like if you cover the name, you should be able to recognize, oh no, this is still Angie, or this is still like whoever. Yeah, that's a trick that my English teacher actually talked about. She looks around the room and she was like, "All right, guys, who here has broken a bone in a sport?" Everyone raised their hands, and she said, "All right, do not write about that in your college essay because it's not a unique experience. It's not special to you."
Sure.
Um, so that's something really important where that essay has to be something unique you can pull from your life, something special about you that cannot be applied to anyone else.
I'm pretty sure the admissions officers, if they would, for example, if you wrote about politics, right? Like, if they would be discussing, like, hey, do you remember that girl who talked about politics? And they'd be like, well, there were like thousands of girls talking about politics. I mean, I remember one of them maybe, but
It's
but when they say, do you remember that girl that talked through her experience in a poem way, as if in chronicles or journal about her life story? Like, oh yeah, sure, that one girl among many other people who wrote about different things. Yeah, that's definitely something that sticks out.
The other thing I definitely recommend is having an imagery component. Like some people write and it's just a rehash of their resume or a rehash of their extracurriculars. You don't want to just reiterate what you've done. You want to be more emotionally in tune. And so including imagery, like what do you feel? What do you smell? What do you hear in the essay? I think that helps ground the admission officer in the experience and it makes the essay a lasting memory. So that's a big piece of advice I'd give.
It doesn't. Admissions officers is not reading your essay. He's getting immersed in this experience, like almost like
Yeah,
environment, you know?
exactly. I had a friend, she talked about cooking with her grandmother, and eventually, I mean, her grandmother came down with a condition that eventually led her to wanting to become a med student or like going for pre-med in college. And so she talks about cooking with her grandmother and like things she tasted, what she smelled, how she felt, um, doing that activity and why it was special to her. And so I think I mean, I don't have that experience that I can pull away, but she did, and she wrote about it uniquely. And so writing something special to you, allowing someone to get immersed in your story.
Do you want to talk about other essays that you wrote that you genuinely enjoyed writing and you're like, would want to share with me?
Yeah. So my research during high school, I mean, I love science research so much. Like it's given me so much purpose and direction. I wrote about my interest in neurodegenerative disease and drug delivery for neurodegenerative disease.
Mhm.
I feel like I'm a bioengineering major. I'm really interested in the ways that we can engineer solutions
Wait,
to
wait, wait, wait.
medical
No, hold on a second. So you're studying at MIT and you're not a CS major?
I know,
That's amazing.
right? Yeah.
But wow. I need a
It's
time to process, you know?
yeah. So I'm actually taking a programming class and it's pretty rough. I don't think I will yeah, CS is not for me,
Sure.
unfortunately.
All of you say that. Okay, sure.
Or
Talk
Earthly, fortunately, it's not for me. I don't think anyone would want me coding their program.
talk to you next semester. Anyway.
I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, yeah.
I do have to take another class, coding class for my major. So
Yeah, you'll definitely have. So you were talking about drug delivery, right?
yes, so I talked about how fascinated I was and still am with just neuroscience and neurodegenerative diseases. And so during high school, my research was on how we can optimize pesticide policy to reduce the likelihood of Parkinson's disease in the long run. And so that was one example of when I was looking into the intersection between policy making, political science oriented, I guess you could say,
Sure.
and the realm of science. And so that's what drew me into wanting to study, something STEM related with this humanities, political science. And so in one essay, I talked about just neurodegenerative disease, more specifically Parkinson's, because that's what I did research on in high
Mm,
school.
sure.
And just my like fascination with engineering solutions
Your passion.
for the disease. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what it all comes down to. What are you passionate about? And just showing that to admissions officers. And so, I mean, they gave space to write more, and I was like, all right, I know what I'm writing about. I love this concept of engineering solutions. I knew a lot about the blood-brain barrier, which is um, I guess it's your brain is very good at safeguarding itself. But the problem with that is it's so good at safeguarding itself that it blocks certain medication from coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And we obviously don't want that. We want our medication to get to the brain. And so that's where engineering solutions comes in, where we have to be inventive with the ways we deliver drugs to the system. And I really want to learn more about that. Right now, I'm just doing the classic general requirements for school. But once I'm past that, that's something I'm going to explore much further.
You have a big exam next week?
I have finals coming up in 2 weeks. Unfortunately, MIT doesn't leave like a reading period, or most schools have a reading period where you get a week off to just kind of study. MIT does not have that, so I'll
MIT
be
is not
studying for the next 2 weeks.
MIT is
No,
for the warrior, right?
certainly not. Yeah, I would say actually, um, I had it easy in high school and I didn't even know it. High school is not easy, but I do think it's a lot easier than people think. And then you go to college and you realize that where you can everything is manageable. All you have to do is do well in your classes, pick extracurriculars that you love, invest time into them, and then study for these SAT and ACTs, which is hard, but it's much easier than the classes I'm doing now, so it's manageable. Uh,
Definitely.
and then do well on those tests, or do the best that you can, and then just write, maybe meet with an English professor, I mean, English teacher, or someone at school who's really good at writing, who can help you express yourself in the best way possible in your applications, and then you should be good. It just comes to down to those 3 things.
What would you say, like, your best advice? Or no, let me actually rephrase it. What is one thing you wish you knew in the beginning of your application process, but you didn't, and that you might want to share with the audience?
Okay, so one is I started studying for SATs and ACTs way too early, actually. I started studying, like, 9th grade for my SAT and ACTs, and I don't even think I was completely ready to do that.
You know what?
So I think
There are
if you're gonna start
There is like 14-year-olds texting about, oh, I started preparing for the SAT. Am I late? Can I get into Harvard? Is it still okay? This is crazy.
that's insane.
It's getting out of hand.
I so regret that. So many tears shed over over that, and that was so unnecessary. You can start studying, like, I don't know, some people are ready late sophomore year and they're like, "Okay, I'll take a look at some problems," which is okay, but know that you can even take it in, like, spring of junior year and you're still good. You can take it senior year and you're still good because these colleges they're waiting for updates from you.
Mhm.
So don't put that much stress on yourself. Just know that you're learning and your brain is like expanding and you're making more neural connections every year. They're just tests. They're standardized tests. So I mean, it's only natural that all you need is practice and just like patience with yourself. I think being patient with yourself is really important. And then if you're going to pick an extracurricular, do it to your fullest. Like if you're going to do science research, do science research, compete with it. Reach out to professors at colleges and share your work.
Carnegie Mellon
Make connections
or
with
secondary school.
Oh, yeah, yeah, like, make connections with people. If you wanna go to Boston University, like, email professors in Boston University, share your work, see if they have summer classes, etcetera. There's so many different ways to make your name and face known, and I wish I had, done that sooner.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Just last question. Do you have, how many friends you have, international students, which are not in, who did not won international math Olympiad or international biology Olympiad, international chemistry Olympiad, because it's a kind of like an unspoken requirement of MIT to international students, which like they don't expect accept or very rarely accept students, talented students who are not international students. Or I'm sorry, who did not win like IMO or IFO or ICHO and all of these prestigious Olympiads.
Yeah. I think especially at MIT, here a lot of students, like, I think we have the IMO math champion, but like that there's definitely a lot of students I've met who they weren't valedictorians or salutatorians. And for international students specifically, actually I've met quite a bit, and I don't they weren't like they didn't win like crazy international competitions. I actually I have a friend who's from Australia, and she's so smart. She's so, like, you could see she's so naturally curious. See, she's interested in computer science. Um, she yeah, I don't think she won. I'll have to ask. She hasn't said anything about it, but, um, I think across the board, you don't have to win crazy international competitions. I think a lot of times where maybe international students don't meet the mark is with the writing quality that maybe schools are accepting. Because I've been in communication with international applicants, and a lot of times the component they're struggling with is the writing piece. I would say try to reach out to someone who's just a good writer, who's um, just well versed in expressing themselves in writing. Um, that's the main challenge I see because, I mean, yeah, it's tough, and I'm not an international student, so I don't even know the extent to which they're dealing with the difficulties of going through that road. But yeah, I'd say you don't necessarily need these major awards as long as you have some kind of evidence of success and achievement. Um, just a way for a metric for them to evaluate your extracurriculars, then that's great. Like first place is, of course, great, but also if you like raise money for charity, that's also great. Just have some metric, have some tangible evidence. You don't necessarily need the big competition award.
Sure. Angie, thank you very much for the interview. It was nice having you. Yeah, definitely talk to me. Hit me up when your book is published or anything like public advertisement or whatever. Yeah, goodbye. It was nice to meet you.